Okay, we're about to go live. Good luck.
Good? Okay, thanks. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the board. Welcome to the public. I'd like to convene the meeting. I am Tim Stiles. I'm the school business administrator. I serve as presiding officer for the organization meeting. And welcome everybody. Happy New Year. I don't like to speak too much about, different things. I usually get right to the agenda, but Happy New Year has a new meaning this year. So I wish everybody certainly a different year and a very happy new year, as opposed to 2020, which was a little bit rough at times. And just to give you the notice of the meeting, this is the Board of Education Reorganization and Regular Business Meeting for which adequate notice under the Open Public Meetings Act was provided by written notice on December 3rd, 2020. To the Courier News, the Echo Sentinel, the Star Ledger, Tappan 2 Warren, and the clerks of the borough of Watchung, townships of Greenbrook, Long Hill, and Warren. If we could stand for the pledge, and I'll get the flag up in a minute. There we go. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, thank you. And number 4 on the agenda, just to provide the election results in the township of Warren. Mr. Fallon was reelected. And I don't know how many times that is, Peter, but that's, I know you've been here since I've been here. So that's a long time. In Watchung, newcomer Michael Bernberg. And from Long Hill, we have Carol Prasa. Carol, unfortunately, the fingerprinting was not completed, so I can't swear her in tonight. But we will swear. I assume that they'll be done on the 19th, and we'll swear her in then. And I hope at that point we'll have a Greenbrook board member, which I think we will. And we will swear in that person then as well.
Tim, I thought there was some accommodation that was being made because of the delays in fingerprinting to allow new board members to be seated.
Not that I saw. I mean, I checked with Mark.
There was, had the fingerprinting been done before a certain date, and Carol's was not, so.
Okay,
well, I think they had to pay before the 15th or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Did we lose Greg?
We got a second, Janine. But yeah, I don't
That's
see
some
Greg
computer
on
problems there.
Okay. Well, while
Why don't
Greg
we
is hooking
do the
back
oath?
up,
I'll
why don't
text
we?
him
Yeah,
and
why
see
don't
what
we
the issue
go
is.
right to the oath of office? And Peter, I'm going to start with you if you don't mind.
No, that's fine. I'll go ahead.
He's back.
So, if you can raise your right hand and read the oath of office.
Okay. I, Peter B. Fallon, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and this state under the authority of the people. So help me God. I, Peter B. Fallon, do solemnly swear that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of member of a Board of Education, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of that office according to the best of my ability. So help me God.
Congratulations, Peter. Welcome back. And if we can go now to Mr. Bernberg, if you could raise your right hand and read the oath.
I, Michael Bernberg, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and this state, under the authority of the people, so help me God. I, Michael Bernberg, do solemnly swear that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of member of a Board of Education, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of that office according to the best of my ability. So help me God.
Congratulations, Michael, and welcome aboard.
Thank you.
All right. So this we can move to number 7 on the agenda.
How about a roll call, Mr. Secretary?
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot my pen. There we go. Okay. Ms. Barone,
Here.
I apologize. Thank you, Bob. I always have a hard time presiding officer and doing this at the same time. It's like walking and chewing gum. Not a good one for me. Thank you. Roll call is Ms. Barone, Mr. Bernberg,
Here.
Dr. Chand,
Yeah.
Mr. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Hunsinger,
Yeah.
Mr. Morrison,
Here.
Mrs. Ober,
Here.
Ms. Potter,
Here.
and Dr. Shabilsky.
Here.
Thank you. All right. And now we can move to number 7, election of the president. So I'd like to open the floor for nominations for the position of board president.
Mr. Secretary, I would like to put forward the nomination of Dr. Greg Chabelsky for president of the board.
And I'll second that.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Okay, hearing none. We have a motion to close the nominations.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I'll abstain.
Abstain, okay. Okay, so let's have could have a roll call for Dr. Shabilsky as board president. Ms. Barone,
Yes.
Mr. Bernberg,
Abstain.
Dr. Chand,
Yes.
Mr. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Hunsinger,
Yes.
Mr. Morrison,
Yes.
Mrs. Ober,
Yes.
Ms. Potter,
Yes.
and Dr. Shabilsky.
You're muted, Greg.
I'll take that as a yes.
Oh.
He's actually frozen.
Yeah.
No,
he's a
he's
little
moving
better.
on my
But there he
screen.
is.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of internet issue.
Okay. Which could be tricky because he's the president.
Oh, no. Yeah, because he's got to do the next thing.
Yeah. Yeah, he is a little frozen. You know, I was wondering whether this was going to happen at some point in time. When you start talking and everything would freeze, you're like, uh-oh, now what? So here we are, now what? Anthony, help.
Doesn't he have a son or daughter who can help him? That's what I always do.
Yeah, he's doing
He asked for one moment, please.
You could always write a note and hold it up to the screen.
Or he could ask Tim to do the vice president, and then Susan could talk the rest of the meeting.
Right, there's that.
It may be good if Greg turned off his video. That may help with his bandwidth issues.
Can you hear that, Greg?
Yeah.
Bob, you want to text that to him?
Yes, I am doing that now.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
He's like in slow action.
We're doing a stop action animation.
You might also want to call in if this doesn't work out. I'll put that
Yeah.
information in the chat.
Okay,
I'm going to text it to him.
You got, okay, thanks, Bob. Yeah, the call-in works fine too.
Right.
That goes right to this line, right, Anthony?
Yeah, he'll go into the waiting room and I'll let him in.
Okay.
It'll probably just be a phone number, so someone can tell me his last 4 digits or whatever that comes up as.
Yeah, okay, we have that.
All right, it looks like he's gonna call him then.
You know, it's kind of funny. I was just saying today that, man, I really can't, board meetings can be long and stressful sometimes, but man, I do kind of miss them. I really do. I mean, it's just easier to do in
Oh, you
front
mean
of
in
folks.
person?
It just is, you know.
Michael, this is the first time we've had this problem since March.
I'm sure. It's because
Thanks.
of me. I'm bad luck.
No, it's not you. It's Greg's internet at home. But he's usually quiet, so it hasn't been an issue.
Well, fortunately, now he has to talk. He's the president.
I know.
You can't hide when you're in the center stage,
I know.
center box.
Well, and Tim, I don't think that I would take the length of our board meetings over just about anyone's at this particular point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go back to the days of 2007.
Oh, God.
Peter
Those
knows
were
them well.
Oh, those were
But
horrible.
yeah, in more recent years, it certainly has been very short and less stressful. For sure.
Efficiency.
Yeah. So I don't know if we can't get Greg, what do you guys want? I mean, should we go ahead?
I think Greg should ask you to hold the election for vice president.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back
I
to
think
you,
Greg
Mike.
could join on the telephone without video, right?
That's what we
Yeah.
think he's doing now.
Yeah, that's what he's
Gresh.
doing.
Should be able to,
Why doesn't he use his phone as a hotspot?
or that. I don't know what he's trying to. Bob, did he say what he's trying to do?
No.
Can someone provide me his last 4 digits of his phone number?
Yeah.
It depends if he's coming in on.
Does it end in 48? 3348? Does anyone know?
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it?
Yep.
All right. I can't rename him here, so
That's
I'll rename
right.
him. Yeah.
There he is.
Can you hear us, Greg?
I think he's there. You there, Greg?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
we can.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm rebooting to see if it's something on my end.
You want to go ahead and,
Where are we?
it's time for you to conduct the election of the vice president, Greg.
Right.
Thank you. I entertain a motion or a nominee for vice president for our coming year.
I'd like to nominate Susan Ober for vice president.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any other nominations?
Motion to
the
close.
nomination. Go ahead, Bob.
Motion to close nomination.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi. Can you hand me?
Given that there is not another nominee, congratulations, Susan, for your nomination and hopefully acceptance.
Thank you. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Tim, do you have to do roll call or does it make a difference?
Might as well, because we did it for the other one.
Okay.
Okay, good.
I just don't want it to be like, somehow messed up.
So, okay, so Ms. Barone,
Yes.
Mr. Bernberg,
Abstain.
Dr. Chand,
Yes.
Mr. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Hunsinger,
Yes.
Mr. Morrison,
Yes.
Mrs. Ober,
Yes.
Ms. Potter,
Yes.
and Dr. Shabilsky.
Yes.
Hooray, congratulations.
Okay, Mr. President, I would like to move resolutions A through O after filling your name in resolution E.
Second.
Anyone would like to discuss it?
Yeah, I have a point here, item number D.
Go ahead,
In
Mark.
item number D, there is one line item called flexible spending account.
Yeah, do you want to know what that is, Naresh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's an account that we have. It's not paid for by the board. It's a benefit to the staff. You're allowed pre-tax money to go into this flexible spending account that you can use for medical expenses.
Okay, no more, I know that. That's
Okay.
okay. Thank you. I had thought that that you should be given like a credit card. And so that
Yes.
if you have to buy something, you should be able to buy it from Amazon, Costco. That way it will speed up the procurement as well as reduce the cost. So I do not know if board can authorize here to give you an authority to the buyer, a credit card or some standing permission that up to a certain limit, you are authorized to buy any necessity from Amazon, Costco, BJ, or anywhere else, because they don't issue purchase order. You have to pay upfront, but that way you could reduce the cost by maybe sometimes 50% and reduce the procurement time several months or weeks or days.
Yeah, I think you're confused with the board buying something. and
Not
an
board,
employee-
not board. I'm talking about because you have different accounts here, right? So
Right.
I thought whether another account could be created here in this list.
Naresh, I think the difference here, Naresh, are these are official depositories for school funds.
Right.
Okay.
So these are school fund accounts. These are not, is not related to credit card accounts or other items.
Oh,
And
I see.
I-
I thought that could be another account here open that put some money in there for that kind of purchasing. That's what I was thinking, that you had number of accounts here, general account, referendum account, payroll deduction account, whether one account could be open here for emergency purchase or quick purchase.
No, well, no, that we could not do. No,
Okay.
that still would be bypassing the purchasing laws, and that's not really okay.
I see. Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion, Greg? Greg's frozen again.
He's frozen again.
Can't he just leave his picture up and call in?
Yeah, I mean, look, you can, as vice president, take over the roll call piece to kind of go forward.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, just indicate, is there any more? And then,
so we ask if there's any more discussion.
Thank you. Is there any more discussion? Mr. Stiles, will you please take a roll call?
I will. I did get.
so the only thing is
Okay.
that P,
I didn't move P because that's the
Okay.
appointment of the committees, which we have to give Greg or
Okay.
volunteer.
got it.
Yeah, he said to move forward with it. So
Okay.
Ms. Barone,
A through O, yes.
Mr. Bernberg,
I will abstain again.
Dr. Chand,
Yes.
Mr. Fallon,
Yes,
Mr. Hunsinger,
Yes.
Mr. Morrison.
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Zober,
Yes.
Ms. Potter,
Yes.
and Dr. Shabilsky. I see you back.
Yes.
Thanks.
I think I was running into some electrical interference in the space that I was at.
okay.
I moved 3 feet and all of a sudden everything went normal again. So sorry about that.
That's
It's
okay.
okay.
Greg, I'm not sure now, Resolution P, the appointment to committees, whether we need to table that or we're just going to hold it off till the next meeting, or you want approval as you fill the names in?
What I would prefer and what we've done historically has been table it to the next meeting. And what I would ask is if anyone has a burning desire, as Peter already did, send me an email saying that you would like to be on one of the specific committees. Obviously, it's important that we have someone for our standing education, personnel, and operations committee. And if you would also designate whether you would like to be chair of that committee or not. The rest of the committees, the ad hoc committees have chairs, but the rest of the committees do not. So if you'd express your interest in which committees you would want to be on, and then we'll essentially divide up the responsibility among everyone. I think that one of the philosophies that we would like to pursue over the coming couple of years is making sure that more people have experience on other committees than they've had already. Based on discussions online and offline that I've had with folks, I think we may be seeing some turnover of more senior board members over the coming years. So it's important to get our more junior members up to speed on committees that they haven't been on. So I would appreciate your indulgence in hopefully identifying a group of folks for each committee where there's some senior and junior folks to be able to provide some institutional memory and hopefully a smoother transition over the coming couple of years. And Michael, if there are specific questions that you have about any of the assignments or committees, we can chat by phone. I can give you a brief synopsis of what they are so that can help you with your choices.
I appreciate that, Greg. Thank you.
You're welcome.
In that case, Greg, I'll make a motion to table Resolution P till the next meeting.
Second.
Any discussion about that? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Yeah, just one thing, Greg, you might just keep in mind that we do have Carol as, I don't know if she's listening, but we will communicate to her what your wishes as well about joining a committee. And also, I do believe that negotiations, I think the contract, Beth, it's ended, the teacher's contract ends 2022.
Yes.
So generally, I think we do start getting, and we will be getting involved. So we'll need someone, we'll need a committee for negotiations.
Understood.
Okay, so the roll calls for the table. Ms. Barone,
Yes.
Mr. Bernberg,
Yes.
Dr. Chand,
Yes.
Mr. Fallon,
Yes,
Mr. Hunsinger. Did we lose Barry? Is that a yes, Barry?
Yes.
There you go. Mr. Morrison,
Yes.
Ms. Zober,
Yes.
Ms. Potter,
Yes.
and Dr. Shabilsky.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion's carried.
do you want a motion, Greg? Mr. President, I'll make a motion that we go into executive session in accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act. Be it hereby resolved that the board move into executive session for purpose of discussing confidential personnel, student, and legal matters, after which action may be taken. It is expected that the matters discussed in executive session will be made public as soon as the need for confidentiality no longer exists.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Now we have to wait for Greg to put us into, or Anthony to put us into a breakout room. Join.
I think you're getting a invitation to go into the breakout room, so hit join.
Anthony?
And we're back.
No, we're not back yet.
No, Anthony,
Just the two of us are.
Yes, go ahead.
so well, they're still going. We didn't want you to kick them out, but they're talking about an item that we needed to recuse ourselves on. So
Sure. Thank you.
Tim, before I forget and before we react again.
Well, I think, hold on a second. I think we are live on YouTube now.
Okay.
Yep, we are back up and running.
We're back in the public meeting, and I think we have no board correspondence. Is that correct, Beth?
Correct. I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay. So this is the first opportunity for public comment. The first public comment period will be limited to agenda items for this meeting only. There will be a second public comment period that will be open to any topic later in the meeting. All comments are limited to 5 minutes. If anybody has any comments, either raise your hand or send a message to Beth to be recognized.
I do have somebody in the waiting room for the public comment period.
Okay. Please bring them in.
Yep. Harleen Goldschmidt.
And if you would tell us your town, please, and introduce yourself, and Happy New Year.
And unmute yourself.
I apologize. I'm here in error, and I'm in Warren, and you're doing a great job. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy New Year to you.
Yes, yes, to all.
Thank
Be
you.
well.
Anyone else, Beth?
No.
Do we need to give them a couple minutes?
I'll give a little bit of time. I guess for Michael and for others in the public who have not attended a reorganization meeting, it's a little more complex in the sense that the way we've organized our meetings, which are bi-monthly, the first meeting is generally a work session where there are some things that are voted on, but most of the items are preview items for discussion that will be voted on the subsequent meeting. The reorg meeting, which is the first of the year, complicates that by having an introductory part of the meeting with president and vice president elections and doing some housekeeping work before moving into the regular meeting. So it's a little bit of a 3-meeting in one kind of organization.
There is still no one in the waiting room for public comment.
Okay, thanks, Beth. We're going to close public comment, but be aware if you do come up with a question or a comment, there will be a second opportunity later in the meeting to do that. We'll move on to reports and presentations, and we'll start with Education Committee, please.
So the Education Committee met on December 22nd with a full agenda that we worked our way through. The first item that we worked on or that was discussed was updates on the schedule for the second semester. Principal Librera discussed possible options for making some adjustments to the second semester based on feedback from the teachers, talked about options for introducing a rotational schedule and the potential benefits for bringing that forward for our students. The committee discussed some of the options that we were talking about and asked the administration to develop a plan that would be that whatever plan that they came up with, that once it was established, that it would be consistent for the remainder of the year. Just because of the nature of this year, we want to try to find some things we want to maintain some consistency, but if there's an opportunity to improve some things for the students and the teachers, then we certainly want to take advantage of the change for the second semester to do that. We did ask that we get feedback from WHREA as well as students so they could share that information at the next Education Committee meeting before making any final determinations. They also was a discussion, Principal Brad talked about how the office hour concept was being utilized, and that while students and teachers liked the structure and the setup for extra help, some of the AP teachers felt that it provided them less time to do the work that they needed to do or to assist the students that they needed to assist in a meaningful way. So the administration is looking at some ways to use the Tuesday office hours in a little bit of a different format in order to accommodate the needs of the AP classes. We also received an update on the mascot process. A committee that was formed held their first meeting, and it consists of students from some of the different clubs, our student athletes, our teacher advisors, and coaches. The groundwork was set, and the 3 parameters were given for the development of the new mascot, and an update will be provided to us as that committee's work progresses over the next few months. We also discussed the CUSAC submission. You'll see on the agenda tonight the final approval of our required NJ CUSAC submission, which is the quality assurances that we have to give to the Department of Education every 3 years. While they have waived that for the coming year, we were already all the way through the process, so we're just going to complete the process. It's on the agenda for this evening, and then the documentation will be then submitted to the state. As part of the strategic planning process, we talked earlier, I think 2 meetings ago, about where we are in the strategic planning process and reviewed the overall strategic planning objectives, and now they're working on the action plans to go along with that. One of the things that was talked about was this concept of a portrait of a student. And so we actually talked a little bit about the portrait of a student, and we looked at some of the examples that our consultant provided from some other school districts as to what that portrait of a student would look like. And Ms. Schneiderman, had us discuss the look of these various profiles that would be made available. And we also talked about the fact how this would be inclusive of the work that we did on our expected school-wide learning standards that were developed as part of the first strategic plan. So basically, they're going to continue their work through January, and we expect to have another update and maybe a draft of the portrait of a student sometime in the first quarter of this year. And then we talked about the Rutgers school transformation process. As part of the strategic plan, we're looking at the transformation project from Rutgers, which provides support for developing a positive and inclusive school climate. This is basically taking off on our conversations of ongoing school culture and climate surveys that we want to have on an annual basis for the district. This actually takes it to another level where it's actually part of an overall process. It's not just the survey itself, but there's actually work that's done on professional development to help train the district staff on the best practices and strategies to use to improve the culture based on the information that is gleaned from the surveys that are provided, the survey that will be implemented this spring. We also talked about spring co-curricular and sports seasons. At the time, the governor's office had put a moratorium on the beginning of winter sports. And that moratorium has been lifted as of Saturday. So the NJSIAA, they have issued their remaining winter and spring season schedule, and that is now in effect. And we also discussed plans for how we can ensure that our co-curriculars are able to continue to the degree that they can in our current environment. And we specifically spent some time discussing performing arts to make sure that we're taking advantage of the good weather and what that will provide for some of our performing arts programs and extracurricular programs to be able to conduct their activities outside, which is in this environment a more preferable way to do that. So the committee agreed to move forward with our outdoor performances and encouraged the administration to continue to find creative ways for our student activities and clubs and co-curricular programs to be able to be implemented as fully as possible in the current environment. We talked a little bit about the Wood Arts program, and I know that's going to be discussed in personnel, so I'll leave that to the Personnel Committee. We also then discussed the community discussion around the implementation of Gaggle. In early December, I think there was a petition that was going around regarding the implementation of Gaggle that had a tremendous amount of misinformation about how the system was being utilized and how it was being used, particularly as it related to student devices and particularly personal devices. So we discussed the way some of the inaccurate information that was being circulated and suggested making some of the information that we have made available to the public, our fact versus fiction document, as well as the statutory requirements for us to have these systems, make this a more prominent display as part of the website. The last item that we talked about was the proposed volunteer clubs for future problem solving and philosophy. These are two additional volunteer clubs that we are recommending for approval on tonight's agenda. The last item that we just touched on was the discussion about that started a year ago on the transition away from gender identifying caps and gowns. We went to, for the last graduation, we went to a single color as a transitionary step. And we discussed the need to make sure that if we were going to move to a more formalized gown design, that, now would be the time to get those designs, approved and in place if we were going to be able to use them for graduation, recognizing that our students have already had their graduation pictures taken. They'll probably stay with the same theme for this year, but they'll be working on the new gown design currently, which will then be available for use when the class of 2022 takes their graduation pictures in the summertime. So that is the Education Committee report. As I have it, I defer to any of the members of the Education Committee that want to comment on anything or expand upon anything or highlight something that I may have missed. Good. That's all I got.
Thank you very much, Bob. Any public session personnel items to discuss? I think you're on mute, Susan.
Thank you.
Sure.
The Personnel Committee also met on December 22nd, and we discussed the C items on tonight's agenda, which includes 2 teachers who are taking short-term family leave and the approval of the associated leave replacement teachers for them. Since the vacancies began on January 4th, and we weren't meeting as a board until January 5th, and we did want these leave replacement teachers to start on the 4th. We actually are recommending that they be approved retroactively to January 4th at tonight's meeting. That was actually, and we're actually approving them retroactively as substitute teachers. So for 2 days, they are substitute teachers, and ongoing, starting tomorrow, they will be salaried leave replacement teachers. Actually, that was Dr. Chand who made that suggestion, and we all thought that was a good solution. And then it's also a good solution because they're approved subs, and after their leave replacement term ends, they could stay on our approved sub list. We also talked about the vacancy in the Wood Arts program due to the retirement, and we have interviewed a few candidates, but we haven't found the right solution for that opening. And so for the remainder of because the substitute, the Wood Arts teacher retired at the end of last year, the end of December. And so for the remainder of this year, we have 4 teachers on tonight's agenda to take additional classes. And these are teachers who are part of our Project Lead the Way program. And they all have the requisite certification in industrial arts and educational technology. And so they'll be providing 0.2 and 0.25 coverage, which is that the current teacher had 5 classes. The new teachers will cover 4 classes, and the students who are in the 5th class are working with the guidance department to go to new different classes. We also talked about the clubs, and we have on tonight's agenda the approval of the volunteer advisors for the yearbook, which is a parent, and the assistant advisor is a substitute teacher. And then we have volunteer teacher advisors for the future problem solvers and philosophy clubs. We also talked about the spring sports schedule and the co-curriculars and the performing arts, performing outside on a stage outdoors. And we also talked about the WHREA has requested of us, of the administration, that we provide a COVID dashboard on our website, as some of the sending districts are doing. It's a dashboard on the website that includes information like the number of new cases, the number of total cases. Currently, our administration is sending out letters when there are incidents and positive tests, and they feel that those letters are more informative and thorough than a dashboard would be. And the personnel committee was in agreement with that. And anybody, Dr. Chand was also there. Do you have anybody else? Any questions?
Thank you very much, Susan. Operations.
The Operations Committee met on December 21st, went over a number of items. First, Mr. Stiles reviewed with us the status of the CARES funding. The district is receiving approximately $35,000 to offset district's expenses associated with COVID-19 and PPE supplies. He also mentioned that there might be some additional funding becoming available. We shall see. Next, we discussed the RFP for a solar company. This is a matter that after we selected the ESP, the Energy Savings Company, there's some urgency for the solar project because of incentives that are available now and will be expiring relatively soon. So working with Honeywell, the Energy Savings Company, and our architects, an RFP was put together for a solar company to come in and review our building and then make recommendations. Tim, I'm not sure exactly what date the proposals are going to come in, but Tim asked for a subcommittee to do the same for the solar company as we had done for the ESIP company, and that is to review the responses to the RFP against a rubric and then participate with some members of the administration in making a recommendation to the board as to which to discuss. And I'll leave it to Tim to tell us where we are exactly in that process now.
So, yeah, so the RFP is out, actually as of today. And I think it's the end of the month, Peter. I don't know the exact date.
Yeah, I think it was around the end of January.
Yeah. But yeah, so that is out now.
Okay. And so in response to Tim's request for volunteers for that, Naresh, Barry, and I all volunteered. I guess it's subject to whether we'll still be on the operations committee, and we'll leave that up to Greg. Moving on, the weekend before we had a generator problem at the school. With the power outage, the generator, it had to be started, and we had to get some people come in and diagnose what the problem was. It turned out that the problem is our substantial transfer switch, which is akin to the transfer switch that some of you have in your own homes if you've got generator systems, but on a much larger scale. We then, brought in some companies to give us recommendations as to what to do, and basically found out that because of when that had been put in back in 2004, It is essentially obsolete and difficult to get parts for. But we, Tim, led the process so we could get estimates either for replacing it wholly or trying to jury rig something with replacing some of the parts. We expected it to come in somewhere between $50,000 to $80,000, but it's a necessary item so that if we do lose power, there'll be an automatic switch to our generators, and the generators will be started up so that we don't lose the IT, services that we need to be ongoing. Turns out we did get recommendations, and I think it came in closer to 30,000 than to 50, Tim?
That's correct. It's item D6 on the agenda to MTB, our electrical contractor.
Yeah, so we'll be approving that tonight. And I think, we got some good work, not just from Tim, but from Chris Bick, working with these people to find out what would be the best way to do it. And I'm going to commend them both because they got on top of this quickly, and I think it's a good result for us. The next item we discussed, the last item we discussed, is Tim just gave us a brief update on the next 21-22 budget process, commenting that because of the agreement that we had negotiated with the WHREA with a slightly lower increase for the last year of the contract, that's going to be helpful in putting together the budget. We also expect to get $150,000 dividend from the shift that we're in for the health insurance plan. That's based upon I think, Tim, that was based upon basically the good results we've gotten in our health insurance plan in terms of not going over budget and having to pay claims.
Right. The shift itself has had a very cash positive year. It's hard to believe that we're in the middle of a pandemic and the healthcare fund is actually doing better, but people are missing a lot of the essential surgeries and things.
Well, that move that we made several years ago to go to the shift is really paid great dividends for us as a district, both in terms of controlling our health insurance costs and getting some of these dividends and keeping us moving to where we're not, knock wood, for the last few years, we haven't used the entire increase in the cap to pay for health insurance. There was one other matter that we discussed. Beth Schneiderman brought to us the fact that we have been contacted by the county and asked whether we would consider being a site for vaccinating for our staff members. At this point, there was not money made available for that, and we would incur cost of hiring nurses and/or a doctor to do the administration. But it was presented to us as, you sign up now if you have any interest in this. You're not committed to it. You can decide later. So the committee recommended to the acting superintendent that we go ahead and say, yes, we'd be interested, so that we would have time to find out what the cost would be and how much of a response there would be from our staff members, who would be the ones who would be able to be vaccinated if we do it here. Any other committee members have anything to add?
Yeah, Peter, I have one point here.
Yeah.
So you discussed item number D6, the switch.
Yes.
So if you see in that table there, spreadsheet, there's a cost $1,962 for the diagnosis. So the same company did the diagnosis, and same company is going to deliver the switch. Normally, when you go to any company for any service, they charge for diagnosis, but if they do the job, that diagnosis cost is adjusted, against the total cost. So I'm wondering here, why are they charging us this extra $1,962? Because the same company is providing us the switch. So they should take it off from there.
My understanding, Naresh, and I'll ask Tim to comment on this, is we went out first for the diagnosis. And then when we got the diagnosis, we had two different companies submit proposals for the switch. And that was a separate service from the diagnosis, which two separate companies then made proposals to us for. Is that correct, Tim?
Yeah, that's correct. And I can even add to that. When they came out to diagnose, they actually had to get they had to understand what the problem was, but then fix it. In other words, the generator was running while the power was on. So they had to switch that generator off. And it's a manual job that's not that easy. And quite frankly, it's a little dangerous. There's enough power in there that could actually seriously injure someone. So it wasn't them just diagnosing the problem. They actually had to fix the immediate issue that was going on. So it was a little bit more than them just saying, okay, looks like your switch is broken. They were out there, and they were out in the middle of the night because it was a problem that we had to take care of it right away. So it was really on their emergent time too. So it wasn't a simple thing.
But Tim, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything if you just ask them. Board feels that if you could tell them that.
No, I understand that, but we asked for a specific quote for the replacement of the switch from two different companies. I can't then change that for both of those companies. And I mean, it's got to be the same exact thing I'm asking them.
I see.
And just to add, Tim, both companies came out about the same, and given that MTB is familiar with all of the equipment, they were the ones chosen.
Yeah, correct. And I mean, and the biggest problem we're having with this, unfortunate, is it's 3 to 5 weeks out. So we did work with the township to set up an emergency protocol should we lose power, because it's not going to switch to generator. We're not going to have emergency lighting. The bigger issue is going to be our IT. The servers I got about a 10-15 minute backup. That's about it. So we got to try to get MTB out right away to manually switch that generator on, but that may not be enough to help out some of those servers. So Anthony is going to devise a plan to do the best we can. It's hard because we're kind of stuck in no man's land. It'll take, the electrician will come out on a guaranteed basis at a maximum of 2 hours. We're hoping, obviously, within 10-15 minutes would be great, but you don't know where the electrician might be. They could be, they could be in South Jersey. So that's where we're vulnerable. There's no question. And we're working on that when I speak. But the township, when they came out, the township code officials approved our plan in terms of keeping the students safe and evacuating them the way we need to evacuate students. We're kind of lucky, and I don't want to say lucky, but it works to our advantage that we have far fewer students in the building every single day, and they leave midday. So we have, the percentages are on our side, at least with that. So that's a good thing. But yeah, anything we can do to expedite this switch being done quickly it's a much better scenario for the school.
I have nothing further, Greg.
Thanks, Peter. Does anyone have any questions of Peter? I just have one question to direct to Tim. Was there any thought, and I don't know if it's even possible, to have sort of a temporary portable generator just for the IT equipment?
Yeah, it's something we talked about with the architect, but and the electrician, but they did not see that as a viable option. It just wouldn't work.
Okay.
It would take too much wiring
Right.
to set it up to make it easy to use.
Okay. Anything else? So seeing none, we'll go on to the next section of the meeting, which is the items for future action. So this is on page 7. I guess before that, just to introduce Michael to our board goals. We've wanted to keep our board goals front and center so that we're always reminded of what we should be focusing on as a board. If you go to the Blue Notes section of your download agenda packet, at the very top of that, you'll have the 3 board goals that we came up with last year. And if anybody would like to discuss any of them, this certainly is the opportunity to do so. The one comment that I would like to make is with respect to our first board goal, which was looking at the feasibility of going even beyond shared services and going to regionalization as a K through 12 district rather than a regional high school. And there is probably a time-limited opportunity to take advantage of state funding to help with feasibility study. And in order not to miss that and keep this front and center, I will plan to form an ad hoc committee to focus on that. And so as you're looking at committees that you are interested in, consider that to be one of the new ones to put your interest in, if that's what you would like to be involved in, so that we can make sure that we stay on top of that particular board goal. Anyone would like to comment on any or all of the board goals? Rita, I think that's a hand up.
Yeah, I'm not using the, sorry. Just the last one. I think you're gonna have to do something with the mentorship,
Agreed.
pairing us up.
Agreed. And so for the more senior members, if you're interested in being a mentor for Michael, although Michael, I understand, has had prior experience, but at least to get you up to speed of how we organize things, and presumably for Carol, if that's something that you would like, and if any of our more junior board members would like that same mentorship opportunity, just let me know and we'll pair you up with someone.
That's great. Thank you, Greg.
You're very welcome. And thanks for bringing it up, Rita.
No problem.
Just one quick question. It's actually a question related to the first one for Mr. Sties. Where are we, or where did we end up in the pursuit of a cooperative or a collaborative application for the state funds for the feasibility study?
I don't think we're anywhere. I mean, as far as I know, I haven't applied for a feasibility study for the regionalization. I don't know if I've gotten that direction yet.
And we didn't even start the work on the application?
Not yet. Nothing.
But there was one, I'll just jump in because there was one meeting, Bob, that I went to before COVID where Liz had invited members from the various constituent districts, both superintendents and board members. And we talked about it, and she was actually trying to spearhead the, to see if she could get all of her superintendents and the boards to kind of come together. And then COVID hit. And she did indicate to me she was not having great success in that. So I think Greg maybe is definitely going in the right direction with an ad hoc committee where board members will have to reach out to board members. No disrespect to superintendents, but what Liz was explaining is that it wasn't high on their agendas. Let's put it that way.
And that, obviously that's understandable given the attention to dealing with the pandemic, but since particularly it is a board goal and it's time sensitive, I think we have an opportunity to jumpstart it and get back on track. So hopefully that
And if the state is going to fund the feasibility study, we should be first in line to have it pay for it, because it doesn't commit us to anything. It doesn't commit anyone to doing anything, but it gives us a heck of a lot more information in which we can inform ourselves and we can inform the community on whether or not this is even a viable discussion.
So in that vein, do you want us to go forward and try to at least get the dates, what's needed, and to move forward with an application?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I would think so because even if the 4 sending districts don't join us, we as a regional suggesting this, we may be a good candidate for getting some money for a feasibility study.
Okay. Got it.
And then what I'll do is I will reach out to School Boards Association, their legal counsel, to get an update on the status of those fundings, and the funding and the application process, just so we have updated information to assist you in that, Mr. Stiles.
Thank you.
Anything else on board goals? So moving on to future action items, Michael, the way this is organized is in the same 4 broad categories of administration, curriculum, personnel, and finance.
Right.
These are things that will be coming up at the next meeting. It's much thinner that you see this time than it typically is, but this gives the board members opportunities to raise potential concerns or questions, and gives administration an opportunity to gather information on that and provide it for us before it's actually voted on in 2 weeks at the next meeting.
Great.
Does anyone have any questions or comments on any of the?
Beth, if I could just ask, I looked at that CUSAC report and found it somewhat confusing in terms of the first section, that we had none of the scores put in for the first section because they're all coming from the county.
Yes.
Could you just explain a little bit
Sure.
more?
There's a 2-part process to it. What is on for board approval is uploading the DPRs to Trenton. And the county then received a separate document that included all of the evidence. The county goes through the evidence and then they certify to Trenton. Trenton confirms what the actual scores are. The only scores that we don't have any input on would be the state testing, because that comes from the state as to how the students did on state testing. The status with CUSAC right now is the county office has been told to do nothing. So this board agenda item is still needed, and the upload to Trenton is still needed because those requirements were before the regulations calling for high performing school districts to be moved to 23-24 school year. So the county executive superintendent has said that his instruction has been just do nothing pending guidance. So this upload, assuming it's approved, will happen tomorrow, but nothing is happening at that point pending further guidance.
Okay, and do we have any realistic expectation that the state will then fill in the scores on the testing?
I don't know. I don't know if they automatically move us to 23-24 and we have, no say. As you mentioned with the Ed Committee report, on that date, our understanding was we just let them know if we want to proceed or not proceed. What it's sounding more like is they are looking to move high performing districts to 23-24 school year and have us all just have a waiver this time around.
But if we get a waiver, that means we have to do this again?
But in 23-24, you just skip it. Originally, we had heard guidance that we would just be moved 1 year. So the thought was, well, then why move? It's all done. It's all in their hands now. Let's just go ahead and move ahead. But then additional guidance came out that it looks like we would go through CUSAC in 23-24 regardless.
Okay. Yeah.
We just skip it this time around is what it's sounding like. But we don't have confirmation from the county office yet. And we've just been told everybody just stay in place and they'll let us know for sure.
Okay, thanks, Beth.
Yep, thank you.
Anyone else on the future action item? Seeing none, we can move on to our current action items under section 7, page 9.
Mr. President, I'd like to move resolutions A1 through A4.
I have a second.
Second.
Would anybody like to discuss any of the items or pull any for separate vote?
I'd like to pull to A1, 2, separate from A3 and 4 if possible.
Sure. One thing that we've just done internally is an abstention if you weren't at the meeting, so that we can still vote on it as a group, and you can simply say abstain from A1 and A2 because I was not on the board.
Okay, that's
That
fine.
makes things easy enough for you.
I got no problem with that. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So seeing none, roll call vote.
Ms. Barone,
Yes.
Mr. Bernberg,
Yes, I will abstain from A1 and A2 and yes to A3 and A4.
okay, Dr. Chand,
Yes.
Mr. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Hunsinger,
Yes.
Mr. Morrison,
Yes.
Mrs. Ober,
Yes.
Ms. Potter,
Yes.
and Dr. Shabelski.
Yes.
Motion's carry.
Mr. President, I'd like to move resolutions C1 through C6.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Would anybody like to discuss any of the items or pull for separate vote? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Barone,
Yes.
Mr. Bernberg,
Yes.
Dr. Chand,
Yes.
Mr. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Hunsinger,
Yes.
Mr. Morrison.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Mrs. Ober,
Yes.
Ms. Potter,
Yes.
and Dr. Shabelski.
Yes.
Okay, motion's carry.
Mr. President, I'd like to move resolutions D1 through D6.
May I have a second?
Second.
Would anybody like to discuss any of the items or pull for separate vote? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Barone,
Yes.
Mr. Bernberg,
I'll abstain.
Dr. Chand,
Yes.
Mr. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Hunsinger,
Yes.
Mr. Morrison,
Yes.
Mrs. Ober,
Yes.
Ms. Potter,
Yes.
and Dr. Shabelski.
Yes.
Okay, motion's carry.
Thank you, everyone. This is a second opportunity for public commentary. This can be about either agenda items for the future meeting or any items that you would like to discuss. Again, typical time limit of 5 minutes. Beth, if you would monitor the lines and hands and.
There's currently no one in the waiting room, but I do see that we have a 10 to 13 second delay. So it's,
Okay.
okay, we do now have somebody. Good evening and welcome to the Board of Education meeting. Please state your name and the town that you reside in before making your public comment. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Beth Morgan Mattiassi. I live in Warren, New Jersey. I'm logged on tonight because on December 8th, I was unable to be granted access to this part of the meeting. And I was a little frustrated about it. And I sent an email to Dr. Jewett, and she and I had several exchanges. But on that email, I addressed actually the email to all of you, each person who is currently on the board. And I stayed on the meeting until the end, where at the end, Ms. Barone, who was the president at the time, said, "And if you have questions, send us an email." So that's what I did. I put my questions and my comments at the bottom of the email. It was actually after the first paragraph. I received nothing from any member of the board about my email. I did text with Mrs. Ober to express my frustration, but I didn't discuss the contents of my email. And then on December 23rd, Mr. Chand took that email and emailed Mr. Stiles, Mr. Fallon, Ms. Barone, Mr. Morrison, Mr. Shabicki, and Ms. Jewett about a different topic, and then emailed me again on December 24th to say, please disregard. So some of you should have seen my email at least 4 times. So I'm very disappointed that none of you could be bothered to read it or even acknowledge that I sent it. So here are my comments. My comment specifically was about gaggle because Mr. Morrison at the November 10th meeting you announced that Gaggle would be rolled out in the district, and the Education Committee had discussed the rollout, and that the committee wanted the community to be well informed about the software. The IT, as you are all aware, or should be, the IT department announced that Gaggle would roll out one day before its start date. I don't consider one day to be sufficient notice. And I think, since again, you brought up tonight, Mr. Morrison, that the Education Committee talked about it again at the end of December, that there were very many members who also didn't think that one day, unless you were on that November 10th Board of Ed meeting, was proper notice. I did ask Mr. Librera about this, if he considered one day to be ample notice. His reply to my email is that Gaggle conforms to your software and what you're supposed to do. He failed to answer my question. Ms. Jewett's comments on December 8th was that, in light of the social and emotional toll that the school community is experiencing, it was decided to roll the program out now. I fail to see how, again, less than a day takes that into consideration. And importantly, I'd like to point out to you, Ms. Jewett specifically mentioned the program was not being used in the ways that, if one Googles it, and I'm not quoting her exactly here, the specific suicide intentions and that kind of thing. That was not included in the first email from IT. That what I think is a very key, important piece of information was not included in that very first email. So in my opinion, this misinformation that's circulating, the online petitions, all of that is, again, miscommunication from the administration, again. Now, you're only responsible for one person, that's the superintendent. This is the second time this year that a really big miscommunication has happened. And I would like to see improvement, concerted efforts that this doesn't happen. And I'm so disappointed that this happened this time, specifically, Mr. Morrison, because this was clearly discussed. I don't know if I'm adequately conveying my disappointment and frustration that on November 10th, oh yes, no, we know, and we're going to roll this out well. And then by the end of the month, it's up one day. You've really not done a good job with this, not at all. And that's all I have for tonight on that particular topic. I would also want to say I'm really disappointed that here we are, second market period, and we only have still a half-day schedule and office hours for the afternoon. I heard you earlier mentioning that the Education Committee has taken this up. This schedule we're on, you should have had in place by May of the last year. It's disappointing to me that here we are in January, and this is the best that you can do. I really strongly feel that the students need more afternoon instruction time and structured time for instruction. This is just becoming ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, what you are allowing to take place. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We will definitely take that back, both at the new committee level and with our administration. And we appreciate your frustration, and one of our clear goals for this year, and it's not just for 6 months, but it's for presumably for an ongoing purpose, given that communication has been one of our issues of focus for a while, and we don't always do the job that we would like to do, and appreciate your frustration, and hope that you will see improvement as we move forward. Anyone else, Beth?
No, there's no one else in the waiting room.
Give it a moment or so. With that, I'll close second opportunity for public comment, and we move into our other business. This would be for any new business or old business that any of our board members would like to bring up now or to put on a future agenda. Bob?
So I have a point here, I sent
Sorry, Naresh, Bob beat you to the hand raise.
Sorry, Naresh, and I don't have a hand raising function on my version of Zoom here for whatever reason in these meetings. So I have to do it the old fashioned way, waving here. So my question is for Beth. I wanted to know if we've heard anything from the state regarding the handling of assessment this year.
They are saying that there will be the New Jersey Student Learning Assessment, a wider window of dates for those assessments. And that's the last update that I've received. So I don't have specific dates or specific tests for you tonight.
Great, thank you.
Naresh?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that this article which appeared in Bloomberg, Business Week about the ionizer, bipolar ionizer, which we are installing. And so maybe this item should be referred to the operation committee. We should look into that, whether we are going in the right direction or we need to, change our decision. That's all I wanted to say for the future action item.
I did see that email, and so whoever's in charge of operations, when that gets determined, if you wouldn't mind putting that on the agenda item for discussion at your first meeting.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Susan and Peter both have hands raised.
Oh, I'm sorry. Susan?
I just wanted to congratulate, hopefully we can do this at this, Dr. Jewett on the birth of her baby boy.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yes. Congratulations. Thank
By
you.
the way, did we send some flowers?
I sent her something.
She got lots of flowers and gifts, and she's very appreciative of everything.
And I'm happy to pass along your congratulations, assuming she's not watching one of our viewers on YouTube Live.
Oh, God, I hope
I'm
she's
happy to
not.
share your.
Probably is.
Oh, my God.
She's trying to help the baby fall asleep. So yeah, maybe.
That's what I was going to say.
That baby must be screaming if he had to endure this.
Peter?
Yeah, Beth, I just wanted to circle back on whether there's been any more information from the county on signing up with the vaccines.
There's been some information coming out. We, as you mentioned, are on that list of a district who is interested. And the information we've received most recently is not specific enough. There are, for example, ranges of refrigeration that are needed, but dependent upon the vaccine that you've received. So there's a list of whether or not you can meet these requirements. We still have a question about being able to log into the portal for immunizations, because school nurses typically don't have access to that. So we're looking for that barrier to be solved. And of course, to make arrangements for the school's medical director to be present, we would need to know dates and times. So information is coming out slowly and in pieces, and hopefully it'll be more specific so we can have a firm plan. The teachers do seem interested, because I did receive email inquiries as to whether or not we would be able to do something similar to our flu clinics that we've done in the past. So I do believe if we're able to do this, we will have an interest from the employees.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I don't
Seeing
see
none, it's a
either.
good time for a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
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 Thank you very much, everyone. Happy New Year to you and your families. And I'll be looking for emails. I've already seen several come across for your requests, and we'll be in touch shortly.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Good night.